All right, in this video, we are going to talk about JOptionPane, the JOptionPane class, and using the JOptionPane class to get user input. Okay, so it is a totally different approach than Scanner. With JOptionPane, you're going to use the method show input dialog to prompt and get input from the user. And what that will do is pop up a little dialog box, and the user will be able to enter their information there. All right, so typically it would look like this. You have some variable which you would declare as a string. That part's left off. I should add that in there. But it is JOptionPane.show input dialog. This null is not needed in the input dialog. It'll work fine with it in there, but it's not needed. Your prompt will go here. Okay. So you put your prompt in there, and then for output using JOptionPane, you will use the show message dialog method. Here the null is required, okay, and then whatever message you want to output, you would put it here in this as a string. All right, so this one's for input, and this one is for output. All right, so remember with Scanner, for each of the 8 different primitive types, there is a different method for getting input of that type. That is not the case. It's, again, a different approach with the JOptionPane class. JOptionPane class show input dialog method only captures input as a string. All right, and so that is a problem if you want to have numeric input, such as int or double, right, a whole number or decimal numbers, so that you can perform calculations on those numbers. Okay, you can't perform calculations on strings, right? So it has to be of type int or of type double. So, but it's an easy fix because you can use the following methods. There's a class called integer. It's the wrapper class for int. And so it's integer.parseInt, and then whatever your input string was, okay, whatever variable that was. And likewise for double, to convert a string input message into a double value, you would use double.parseDouble. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at the JOptionPane example. All right, so JOptionPane example. It looks like this. I do have to issue an import statement up here, right? You can see that we have our import statement, and it's javax with an X on the end, .swing.JOptionPane. Okay. All right, and so here I'm asking the user to enter their name. Again, I don't need this. I need to take that out. Okay, so I'm using JOptionPane.show input dialog. This would be the prompt, right? That the thing that I want the user to do, and then it's going to take that value, whatever the user types in the dialog box that pops up, that I'll show you in a minute, and it will store that in the variable name. Okay. And then later on for the output, we're going to see I'm going to use this JOptionPane.show message dialog. Again, here the null is required, okay? And then here's the message that I want to display, all right? So I'll go over in more detail and what happened in between there, but let's just take a look at the the run of the program. So here it will pop up this little dialog box. It'll say enter your name, right? So I'll type my name in and enter a whole number and enter a decimal number. And here is the result that it displays. Right? And that's the result of the show message dialog line right here. So this line pops up this dialog box or message box. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so I already showed you how it works with a name. All right, then here I am asking the user to get some int and whole number, right, an int as input. So again, JOptionPane, you don't have the choice. When you use show input dialog, then you have to get it as a string, right? And so you can't do it directly as an int. So you have to get the input from the user as a string, and then you have to convert that input over to the correct type, in this case int. So whatever variable you stored the string input as, you would just put that inside of this method call integer.parseInt. Right, and that will convert the string over to a whole number or over to an int, right, and it will be stored into this variable right here. All right, same thing with a decimal number. With a decimal number, you would use double.parseDouble to do the conversion from string over to double. Okay. So that does the conversion there. All right, and that's it for JOptionPane. So pretty straightforward. It does pop up the dialog box. As you can see, that's a different approach than what Scanner does, which is only console. You shouldn't really mix the two types of input. If you are using Scanner, then the user is going to be looking in the console, right, for the input. If you pop up a box, then the user might miss it. And likewise, if the user is expecting boxes to pop up and then all of a sudden there's input in the console, the user is not going to know to look at the console. They'll be expecting a box to pop up, and when it doesn't, that's going to be confusing to the user. Okay. All right, let's see what else we have here. All right, in the next video, then we will rework the areas circle problem using the JOptionPane class.